So I'm Cécile Riallant. I'm manage a global interagency program that is dealing with migration and local development and looking specifically at the key role that cities and local and regional authorities play in that respect.
So in your capacity for working with development, how are states using development to externalize borders and initially to get there?
I think this is a development that is, of course, very problematic and leads to ask a lot of questions. But most and foremost, I think we are missing completely the target, and this is going to be time wasted, unfortunately, because we're going to realize very soon that building walls is utterly ineffective. And definitely, with development aid, we should be aiming at something completely different. I'm not a pessimistic in the sense that I think at some point, this policy will change in the face of reality, because what we're looking at, of course, are major trends ahead of ourselves, and particularly, the fact that there is this increasing imbalance in terms of demographic trajectories between Africa in particular and the European Union on the other side, or European continent rather, on the other side. So obviously, we need to find completely different ways of working on those issues and really establishing proper partnership with the sending countries of migration, because we need those migrants, but we need to see how we prepare those migrants to be integrated into our societies, to be productive members of our societies, and how we make sure that this migration is also for the benefit of the countries, the sending countries themselves. So I think, this is what development aid should be looking at. I think this is what we have started doing, and I think definitely, in the recent past, we have seen somehow the whole debate going backwards a little bit, and let's hope indeed that this is just a moment in history and we'll go back to something more reasonable.
The states are putting more and more of their eggs into the basket, trying to improve home countries or transit countries to try to reduce the push factors out. And as a development specialist, how is that working, and does it have any merit based on fallacies?
I think, we all know of the famous migration hump, whereby, the more developed countries are, the more proportion there is for people to migrate, because the more choices people have, the more aspirations people have, and this is completely normal. Yet, what the theory says is that, after a country reaches a certain level of development, then this trend towards migration tends to reduce. But this is something that has not been actually factually validated everywhere. So definitely to think of development as a way to stop migration, I think it's not putting it in the right way. And also we have to be much more, eloquent at looking at how migration impacts development, but also how development impacts migration. And I think the relationship is very complex and very much vary depending on countries, depending on territories. And this is really something than which I'd like to emphasize, really, is that, if we continue to look at the dynamics between migration and development only from the point of view of people crossing a border, and therefore issues that are dealt with only by the countries as national governments, we're going to miss the point. And I think really what we have to zoom on is really what's going on at the level of the territories. What are the migration dynamics in a very specific place? What are the development dynamics in that same very specific place? And where the migrants are going in another country that is in another very specific territory. And how do we start looking into the development and migration dynamics between those territories that are linked by migrants? And therefore, maybe that may lead us to more refined policies and more refined ways of looking into establishing partnership around migration and development that will be balanced and that will be really for the benefit of on both sides, and for the migrants themselves, of course.